All right, welcome to Algebra 1. Today's date is January 6, 1/6/2021. Our objective today, who would like to read that? Diego, go for it.
Properly shade a graph of an inequality and find the inequality from a graph.
There it is. So typically today's homework, they'll give you the line, well, they'll give you some points. And then you have to decide, should it be a dashed line? Should it be a solid line? And then after you decide that, the second step and the final step is to shade. Does it go shading up or does it go shading down? Those are the two main questions that you're going to be answering today. So just as a review, here is the graph of all four of these. And notice I've already done half of one for you. This less than symbol, I need a participant to tell me two things. Again, there's always two parts for each of these symbols. This symbol, is it a dashed or a solid line? And then the second question, do you shade above or do you shade below this? And if you don't remember, go back to your notes from 6-1 and that has the answers in it. This is just a summary table, just the main thing that you need to remember from 6-1. So this symbol right here, what is that symbol? What do I do? What sort of line? Tell me everything about this symbol. Who has it? Giorgio, go for it.
It's a dotted line.
Yep, so you can say dotted dash, doesn't matter, yeah. So this line that's not a solid line, we'll call it dashed. And then is it shaded above or below? Giorgio?
Below?
Below, yes, why? What's a good way to remember that? Like, how would you pronounce this thing? If I was reading this symbol out loud, what would you say?
Because it's less than.
Less than, yeah. So if you ever hear the words less than means go that way. More than or greater than means go that way, go up. Perfect. All right, let's try this next symbol. Who has this one? Who can draw a graph? Yeah, Ripley?
It's a dotted line.
Yep, so it's this dash line. I'm just making them random directions. It doesn't matter the direction that they go. This has a negative slope, just randomly. Okay, so we have this dashed line and shading. Where do we go?
Above.
Above, exactly, because this is greater than. Everything above is greater than that line. So we shade above the line. Perfect. All right, I already did half of this one. This is a solid line, but the shading here, who can help me with the shading? It's a 50-50 shot, right? Even if you have no idea, go ahead and take a guess. That symbol, what is that symbol again? You have to remember. And then is it up or is it down? I'm calling someone new. Sorry, Ripley. Ashley, yeah.
Oh?
Down?
It does go down, yeah. It's a less than or equal to. Less than means down. Perfect. And then what about this final box? What's going to be here? Diego?
It's going to be a straight line.
Well, I mean, they're all straight lines, but is it going to be a solid or is it going to be dashed?
Yeah, solid line, yeah.
Perfect,
Solid line, and it's going up.
And it gets shaded.
Oh, my bad. No, down. It's going down.
Oh, it goes down though. That. Wait, isn't it the same thing as this last one? I feel like these two should be different.
Okay.
Somewhere we've made error. How would you pronounce this symbol, Diego? What is that called?
Greater than, so it would be up.
Up, yeah. Perfect, yeah. Good job. It is up. All right, so we have our summary table. We're ready to move on to some problems. If you have questions, now's a good time. That's our review from 6-1. And I don't see anyone have confused faces. We're going on to example number 1. All right, so and this is kind of what Khan Academy does as well. They give you points. So here are some various points that are graphed for this inequality. Why did I say equation there? That's not technically correct. So let me change that for next year. Technically, it's an inequality. Inequality. And you might be asking, Mr. Sandell, why does it matter? And I need to be perfect. I want to be precise with my language. Mathematics is all about being precise. It is the one area of your life where you can truly be black or white. You can't be like, your grammar could have been better here, Miss Taylor says. And it's like, no, you have to be exact in mathematics. So it is an inequality. This is graph for the inequality 2x plus 3y is less than 5. We need to finish graphing it. So I need to, again, decide those two questions. Is it a dashed line or is it a solid line? And then after I decide that, is it shaded above or below? And that second question is tricky because you can't just look at this symbol and be like, oh, it's shaded beneath because it's a less than symbol. You have to turn this into y equals mx plus b form. Everyone write it down. You have to have it in this slope intercept form. If it's not in this form, there is a good chance you will get it wrong. This is in standard form, which is not super helpful. So I need to convert it. And once you do these problems more and more, you'll realize that you don't have to get it exactly in slope intercept form. You just have to have a positive variable y on the left-hand side. You could have like a positive 2y and it would be fine. You just can't have like a negative 3y. And you need to definitely make sure your x's and your constants are on the right-hand side. So I'm lying to you a little bit, but hopefully you guys will eventually see the shortcut. For now, we're all doing it the long way. Make sure everything is in slope intercept form first, and then we'll tell what's going on. So that is our first step. Here is our inequality, and I'm going to change that into slope intercept form. I'm going to isolate this variable y on the left-hand side. So I need to move everything over to the right-hand side over here. How do I start doing that? This is like a review from unit 3. This was a while ago that we did this, but I think you guys still remember, hopefully. If not, this is a good review. So yeah, Jose.
You subtract 2x from both sides.
Perfect. Yeah. So minus 2x, and we're now left with the inequality, not equation, the inequality 3y. I'm going to copy down this symbol, this less than symbol. I still have that 5, and now I additionally have this minus 2x after Jose's step. All right, and we're almost there. I need to isolate y, get rid of that 3 in front of it. And again, you don't have to, but it helps you. What would I do to get y just by itself? Yeah, Ripley?
You would subtract 3 by both sides.
Not quite, because right now 3 is being multiplied by y. I need to undo that multiplication of 3.
So would you divide?
Yeah, divide everything by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. And I can just kind of cross those 3 out and say, yeah, there is my inequality. And now it's very clear, oh, okay, I should be going under. And we would have been correct by saying, oh, yes, just go ahead and go down. But you don't know that until you either do one of two things. You just change it in a slope intercept form, and I will be showing you guys a shortcut in about 2 minutes. But this is a great way to do it. Like if you have slope intercept form, you're done. So who can tell me, after looking at this inequality, basically you just need to look at that symbol. Looking at that symbol now, what type of line do we have and where do we get shaded? Is it a dashed line, solid line? And then is it shaded up or is it shaded down? And everyone should be raising their hand. I mean, we have this review table, like you see that symbol. I'm gonna call in someone new. I have to call in someone new here. So who have I not called on? Zeke, yeah.
You go under.
It does go under, and is it a dashed or a solid line, Zeke?
Dash.
It is indeed, yeah. So let's go ahead and make a dashed line that goes through those points and it goes underneath. And we're done. All right, are you guys ready for the shortcutty way? So the shortcutty way is just to choose a test point. So let's pretend we are going back to this original inequality. We didn't subtract this 2x. We didn't divide by 3. We didn't do any of that hard work. That is a way to solve it, but I'll show you a second way to solve it, the faster way. Choose a point, the easiest point that you can think of. Maybe you think 1, 1 is a nice point. I personally think 0, 0 is the easiest point. I'm specifically looking at this point right here. This point 0, 0 at the origin. I want to know, is this point a solution? If it is a solution, then it needs to be shaded underneath. If it is not a solution, then it has to be shaded up there. So what I would do is I would plug in any point that I want. I chose randomly 0, 0 because I think it's an easy number to plug in. Plug in 0, plug in 0. 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 3 times 0 is 0. Everything over here on the left-hand side is 0. You can all nod your heads. 0, that makes sense. 0 times 0 plus 0 times, or 0 times 2 plus 0 times 3 is 0. Okay, now my question for you is this. If this left-hand side is 0, is 0 less than 5? And you should either nod your head vigorously one way or the other way. Let's see some vigorous head nodding. 0 is less than 5? Yes, yes, okay. Vigorous head nodding this way, this way. It is a solution, which means I should be shading down because this point right here needs to be in the shaded region. If it was not a solution, if I had something like 6 is less than 5, then I would shade the other direction for my test point. So that's your shortcut. I'm going to be using that shortcut in example 2 to just show you how fast that is. All right, example 2, shortcutting method. Here we go. I have a bunch of points. And it's not super important for your notes to get the points correct. You can just like make random points roughly in the right spots. It doesn't need to be perfect because it'll give it to you on Khan Academy. So you have some points on the graph and you have this, this symbol. So right away, you can immediately tell me right now, solid line or dashed line. Tell me, what do you got? Solid line or dashed line? Just from this symbol.
Solid line.
Okay, well, you have to do a quiet raise hand because I want to make sure that people have time to think. It is indeed a solid line, Diego. Ooh, I can't make lines very well. There we go. A solid line. Why is it a solid line? Someone else answer that. Why is it a solid line? Quiet raise hand. Alden.
It's a solid line because it's greater than or equal to.
Okay, so would a greater than also be a solid line?
No, it would be a dotted line.
So why is this one specifically a solid line?
Because it's equal, it can be equal to anything on the line, and it's
Exactly.
also equal to anything in the shaded area.
Perfect, yeah. It can be equal to. When you say you can be equal to, that means it is a solid line. Perfect. All right, and then the next question that we have is which way do we go? Do we go up or down? So let's choose a test point. I personally really love 0, 0 because it's an easy number to plug in. If you like a different test point, like 1, 1 or something else, by all means, choose whatever point you'd like. I think 0 is easiest for this problem. So let's plug in 0 for this X, 0 for that Y, and it's going to be the same thing again. Look at this. 3 times 0. Everyone will say, that's 0, Mr. Sindel. 6 times 0 is 0 again. 0 minus 0 happens to be 0. And this left-hand side of the inequality is 0. Okay. If that left-hand side is 0, the question for you now is 0 greater than or equal to 9? And you should start nodding your head one way or the other, nice and vigorous. Is 0 greater than or equal to 9? More head nodding. I got like 2 people doing it. Is 0 greater than or equal to 9? Okay, good. No, it's not. That means this is not a solution and I cannot shade up, I shade down. Which is counterintuitive at first because you might be seeing this symbol and say, that's like greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to means up. In general, yes, but only if you're in slope intercept form, or you can do the shortcutting method of just plug in a number. All right, give me a fist of 5 on those previous 2 examples, example 1 and example 2. 1 is like, I don't know what you just said. 5 is like, that's perfect. I could do this easily on the homework. I will pass the test. I'm getting 3s, 4s. I got 2, 4, 4, 5. I'm looking at the chat, don't see anything. Zeke, do you have any specific question that could maybe help you advance from a 2 to a higher number?
I don't know. I'm just kind of bamboozled on what to do. I don't really get it.
Okay, is it the solid line dashed line that's confusing you?
I don't know. Just the whole equation doesn't really make sense, but it will over time in a minute, probably.
Okay, you think that the practice will help?
Yeah.
Okay, and I see Jose said 4, thank you. Yeah, and I think that's a good point of saying homework usually does make things clear. All right, so as a review, slope intercept form y equals mx plus b. I've got 3 from Carlos, thank you. This is slope intercept form. What is m? Remind me, we've talked about this over and over and over again. M is what? With a quiet raised hand, nice and quick. M is Ashley.
The slope.
Perfect. Slope, label it. B is the what? Quiet raised hand. B is the Diego.
Y-intercept.
Y-intercept, and perfect. We have 3 or 4 different equations for slope. Someone give me one of them. What's your equation, your favorite equation for slope? Ripley.
Delta x over delta y.
Ooh, it's the other way around.
Delta y over delta x.
There it is. Delta y over delta x. Perfect. Yep. Does anyone else have an equation that they want to add here to the notes? No. Sometimes people like this one as well, where they do y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. If you don't like that one, you don't have to write it down. Choose whatever equation you like, and that's your slope. Just as a reminder, that's slope. All right. So we're going to be going to the back side of my notes in just a sec. Maybe I'll just do this for now so you can see that I'm going to do 2 more example problems. So I'm on example number 3 right now. Find the inequality represented by this graph. And this one is kind of important to get correct in your notes. So make sure this graph goes through this point 0, -3. So it's on the y-axis. And this point over here, 3, -1. And if you just want to rush through the notes, I can just label these points for you as well. This point is 0, -3. And this point up here is, I'm going backwards, 3, -1. And the other thing to note is it is a solid line. It is not a dashed line. This line down here is a dashed line, but this one is solid. And of course, this is shaded above the line. All right, so this is basically like our previous problems where I say, here's a line. If I can't really hide it by putting my hand over the screen, but if you can do this, put your hand over the screen above the shaded region, you just have a line. You just have this line. If I told you find the equation of that line, that's something you know how to do because you use the y-intercept, which, hey, is right there. You use the slope, and you have a slope-intercept equation, which is why I just talked about it over here, and you have the line. We're going to go 1 step extra, which is how math always works. I'm always adding on things, right? 1 extra step and ask, well, was it shaded above or below? And was it a dashed line or was it a dotted line? You're going to change the equal sign into an inequality sign. So it's just that 1 extra step, but let's review. So if I'm zooming in here to example number 3, I'm going to have something of the form y equals mx plus b. I'm going to fill in m. I'm going to fill in b. That's my first step, just like before. Someone help me. Help me with M, help me with B, either one of those. And for people that are super shy, you can private message me too, and that works too. Let's go with Alden.
B is -3.
Perfect. So -3, can you explain why, just really quickly?
Because it's the y-intercept, and that's where the line touches the y-axis.
Perfect, yeah, so the y-axis right here, there it is, -3. Thank you. What about the slope? That's a little bit harder because you have to do some math. Or counting. Like if you have a graph, you can just count the squares, right? What is the slope of this line? What is M? can help me count the squares? Yeah, Ripley, help us.
So it's 3 over and 2 up, basically.
It is. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So the triangle here
Would
goes
that be 2 over
plus
3 or
3.
3 over 2?
That's a great question. Yeah, you answered that. Is it 3 over 2 or 2 over 3?
I believe that it's 2 over 3.
Yeah, and you're right, because it's the change in y, the up and down, versus the left and right, the rise over the run, or the change in y, change of x. Perfect. So 2 over 3. So 2 over 3, that gets plugged in for m. And I still have this x and y equal to. So we've done our review now. You know how to find the equation of a line. Now I'm going to change it. The only thing I need to change, as I said before, this symbol is not correct because this represents only the line. I want to represent this whole shaded region up there. So what should I change that symbol to? Giorgio?
Greater than or equal to.
There it is. So let's write down the final answer. I still have that y. I still have that 2/3 x minus 3. And the only change now is to say greater than or equal to. Final answer, box it. What I want everyone to do right now is take some time to maybe finish copying down example 3 and also begin on example number 4. So just me verbally describing it to make sure that you have it correct for your notes. Example 4 is an even easier problem to graph because it has 2 points, one at 0, 0. I'll label a point 2 just in case it's not super easy to see. It's 0, 0 at the origin, and then 1, 1. It just goes right one, up one. And it is a dashed line with the shading below the line. I want you to find the inequality that represents that graph. Good luck. I don't know. Yeah, it is recording. Just making sure. Cool. Yeah. Who has an answer for example number 4? One person has an answer. 2 people have an answer. Zeke, help us out.
So you can see that the y-intercept would be 0, 0. That's the first point, and then the second one is 1, 1. So you can start it off with replacing the b with 0, yeah, and then find your slope, which would end up being 1 over 1, which is just 1. So you would have y equals 1x plus 0, which is not correct. So you'd simplify that to y is greater than 1x plus 0, which it's greater than because it's a dotted line and it's shaded below it.
Okay. What's up, Ripley?
If it was greater than, it would be shaded above the line.
Oh,
I meant less.
okay. Yeah. So let's change that to a less than. Yeah. Thank you. Good catch. Yeah. So if this was a greater than, it would be shaded like that. Okay. So let's just change that sign. Weird. Grab this. Shade to less than. Yeah. Nice. And I will also point out this. This is not quite simplified because there's 2 things that you can simplify over here. If I have 1x, that's really just saying x. And if I say plus 0, you don't have to write the plus 0. So the most simple way of writing this is y is less than x. And that should be your final answer. I'm even
You
sure.
probably can't hear this because my Wi-Fi is bad, but you can just make it y is greater or y is less than x.
Exactly. Yeah. And I can't hear you. You're good. Yeah, I'm perfect. So I'm like in the past, I've had Khan Academy multiple times throw out and say that this is wrong because it's not simplified. So just make sure that on quizzes and homework that you are practicing simplifying your answers. And that concludes our notes. And again, I will zoom out one final time.